Welcome to my craft table. Hello, this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'd like to show you how to make this card. It's a hashtag simple stamping. And we're going to be using the Abstract Impressions stamp set. And making Christmas bright, this wreath here. And then out of Merry Christmas to all, these two little holly leaves. So let's get started. For paper, we have a piece of Whisper White. This is the thick, it's 3.5 by 4 1/4. I have a piece of the Designer Series paper. It is the Wrapped in Plaid Designer Series paper. This is a different pattern because I've run out of this one. Must be that was my favorite because I used all of it. And that is 3 by 6. I just cut it in half, and we'll cut the bottom off after we mount it. I have 2 pieces of gold foil. It's just scraps, but they're as long as they're at least 1/4 inch, because we're just going to glue them to the edge of the white card. And then I have a piece of a card base, which is 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Okay, so let's start with stamping. Oh, colors. I forgot to show you the colors we're going to be using. I'm listed here. I've got Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Crushed Curry, Real Red, and Merry Merlot. We're going to start with the Crushed Curry. And we're going to bring in that wreath. We're going to ink that up. We're going to stamp that, center it on this part here, but over on this side. It's actually going to be a little bit closer to the top. So it's about 1 inch from the side, about 1.25 inches from the bottom. We're going to stamp it down. We're going to ink it again, turn it, and stamp it again. Gives us a little bit fuller of a wreath. Okay. We're going to put this aside for a minute. We're going to need it again, but right now we're done with it. And then we're going to bring in this one, the full one. Show you on the box, it might be easier to tell. It's this one here. Okay, and we're going to bring in the Real Red. We're going to stamp that around this side. Stamp once here, right in this. And then I'm going to turn it a little bit and bring it down. Stamp it over here. Oops. Then I'm going to turn it and stamp it up here. Okay. And I'm going to bring in the Merry Merlot. I'm going to bring in this other piece of that flower. I'm going to ink it once. I'm going to try to figure out how it lines up. I'm going to stamp it once. I'm going to turn it a little bit and stamp it again. That's going to make those flowers a little bit fuller. Okay. Stamp it, turn it, and stamp it again. Stamp it, turn it and stamp it again. Okay. I'm going to bring in the old olive. And I'm going to bring in this one. And I'm going to be using these as leaves, so I'm going to pick a couple spots where I'm going to want to put leaves in, and I'm going to stamp it and turn it and stamp it again. So I'm getting two different generations of the ink. I'm going to do that a bunch of times around here. I'm going to move this because I like to have a little more room here. And wherever you think you want some leaves, even if they overlap, that looks pretty good. Now that could be your card right there. I'm going to add a sentiment here. Let me do that first. I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow. This card I used the old olive, and it looks really nice, but then I added these darker spots, and I think it would look nicer with the darker Mossy Meadow, so that's why I'm bringing it in. You could do black as well for your sentiment. I'm using Friends Make the Season Shine, or let's do a thank you. Let's see. Let's just use the same one. Friends Make the Season Shine, ink that up. I'm going to stamp it over in here. Awesome. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in the little star. I'm going to bring back in the crushed curry. I'm going to add some stars around. Add a couple over here. And I also used this and I stamped in the center of those flowers just to add a little bit of a yellow center to them. You can't tell it's a star, it just adds that yellow there. Okay, and then, now that looks really pretty all by itself, so you could be done there. I'm going to bring in the hollies. So I'm going to make this into a Christmas card. There's two different ones. I'm going to be using both of them. Ink it up in the, what is this? Mossy Meadow. Sorry, my brain is shot these days. Okay, I'm going to bring in my cleaner because I want to add a couple without the stem, so I want to make sure it's clean. And I'm going to try and just ink up the holly leaf itself. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just going to tap that on the corner of the pad here. Try to add a couple of those. if you get it on the other part, you can wipe it off, but you might probably see a little bit of it anyways. Oh, got a little smudge there. Alright, I want one more of those over in here. Okay, now I'm going to bring in that other one that goes the other way. Add a few of those. Oops, I brushed it. See if I can get it lined up. Not bad. I think that's good. I'm not going to add any more. Okay, now let's close these ink up and put our card together. Let's see if I can bring in my eraser. Erase this a little bit here. This is a sand mono eraser. I think it's a must-have in the stamping room. You can see there's one on that's rougher than the other, so I sand with that. I find if I use a circular motion, it is a little bit gentler on the paper. And then I come in with the other end, just to make sure. Let's smooth it out a little. And sometimes you can't get it off, but we will try. A little bit more here. Just be gentle so you don't have a big old tear in your paper. Well, I got most of it, all but one little tiny spot. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's put this card together. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to bring in the Tombow Mono, and on these long ends I'm going to put a little bit of glue along the back here. I just had this running. Why isn't it going to work now? There we go. Actually, that's probably more glue than I need. Then I'm going to put this foil on the back. You want it to be straight. And I try to line up on one end. It's okay if it overhangs on the other end. But if you line up one end, and then at least you know it's straight. Okay, and I'd like them to be about the same. Sorry, I forgot to turn the volume off on my computer. Okay, now I bring in my snips. I'm going to snip off these ends. This side didn't quite work right, but there we go. Oh, it slid. The glue's not dry. Alright. We're going to bring in our card base. You can use the wet glue or you can use the tape runner for this. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to put some glue on the back of this. You know, it's going to be longer than you need it to be. So we'll put that down. We want about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more of a space there. You want to make sure it covers all the way the bottom of that white, because you'll see it. Okay, then we'll turn it over. And this you can either use your trimmer or your snips. The longer the blades, the better, but this will work. It's easier to get a straight, even cut when you... Now we'll glue this down here. You could use dimensionals here if you'd like. Oh, that gold shifted again. Fiddlesticks. I'm going to salvage it. There we go. Alright. Now, I took those little scraps of the gold that we cut off. This is totally unnecessary. And I took a hole punch. This is just a little, it has a little hole. And I cut 3 of those out. Do another one because that one's got a flat edge on it. Okay, and I just scattered them around. On my card, come on. And over here. Now that might be a good spot for that embellishment to go. Okay, and I just took my glue, put a little dot of glue, stuck it on there. Let's go ahead and glue it over that spot. Come on. There we go. There's the card we just made together. A different color background. Here's the one I made previously. Well, thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day.